we are looking at this example on the screen. This while you wait, this is a recap of what we did last week, Wednesday. Hello, Mateo. Okay, so I'm hoping that everybody's with me here as we go along. Just remember to put the value for x where x is, and then you get the answer that we're looking for out. Okay, I'm going to do that just now. I see Aisha's hand is up. Hello, Aisha. Okay, Aisha's not unmuting. Aisha, when you want to unmute, please go ahead and speak to us. Hi, Aisha.
Hi.
What's up, my sweetie?
I'm good, ma'am. How are you?
I'm excellent, thank you. What's up? Are you there?
Excuse me?
Are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, right. So we just figured out when x is equal to 1, y is equal to 1. When x is equal to 0, y is equal to -1. And when x is equal to -1, y is equal to 1 again. All right, so we're going to plot these on our Cartesian plane. Excellent. Hello, Hatchet. We're going to say hi to all our newbies in just a little bit. All right, so when x is 1, I'm going to put, oh goodness, look at me erasing things. When x is 1, I'm going to put it a bit far away. That's on my x-axis, that's 1, and my y will also be equal to 1. So x is 1 and y is 1, that's where they will meet. When x is 0, which is over here at the origin, y is -1, so it's down here. All right, and when x is -1, which is on this side, -1, y is 1 again, so we're up here. So what we've actually drawn here, guys, is a parabola that looks like that. And I dare anybody to question my drawing. We're going to have an issue, you and me. It's a parabola. It is. Look at it. It's a parabola. Okay. I hope everybody's parabola looks like mine. Okay. Okay. I hope everybody's parabola looks like mine. And if it doesn't, I need you guys to watch last week Wednesday's lesson, because this is what we did. This is what we did in the last one. Yes, Sipa even remembers it's a parabola. I love it. Love to hear it because it looks like a ball. And remember, it's concave up, and that's why it's positive, because it has a smiley face. It's giving us a smiley face. Hello, Kama. How are we doing, my sweetie?
Hi, ma'am. I'm seeing something that's scaring me right now. It's f of x. When did we start f of x?
Well, f of x isn't really anything fancy. F of x is just another way of saying y. Y and f of x are, so don't stress. Okay.
Yo, I was panicking.
Okay. No, don't panic. Don't panic, my sweetie. F of x is the same as y. Okay.
Thanks, ma'am.
For those of you who are joining us for the first time, we are on lesson 3 of 8. Okay, so lesson 1 and 2 can be found on the website. And in lesson 1, we tackle the straight line graph. And in lesson 2, we speak a little bit about the parabola and what it means to draw a parabolic or a quadratic function. Right. Now, today we're going to be learning a little bit about what these kinds of things are called, because there are certain things that happen on a graph that we need to know the names of. They're very, very important. Okay, so if we had to sketch the function of y is equal to x squared, I would then do the same thing I tell you guys to do all the time. X is equal to 1, x is equal to 0, and x is equal to -1. We would take these 3 functions and our parabola would look like this. Okay, that's what our parabola would look like. It would look like that. Now, there are certain things that you would be asked in an exam paper or in a test paper or even in class that we need to know about this particular function that we've drawn here. All right, so the first thing is going to be the turning point. Now, you guys will notice that when you're drawing your parabola, when you draw it from one side to the other, when you get to this point here at the bottom over here, where you were going down, when you come back up, right there, when you come back up like this, this over here is called our turning point. Okay, this is our turning point. And the thing we're always going to remember about our turning point, guys, is that our turning point is going to give us a coordinate. It's going to give us an X value and a Y value. Okay, we're always going to get an X value and a Y value in a smiley face, Michael. Yes, the bottom part of our smiley face is the turning point. But even in a frowny face parabola, even if we have a frowny face parabola, that point right there where it curves, where it was going up, but now it's coming down, that is our turning point. And we can figure out the coordinates of our turning point. I'm going to show you guys how we're going to do that. All right. Next thing we're going to note is that we can have x-intercepts, right? And if you guys remember, when we talked about x-intercepts, we said if we want to find an x-intercept, we need to make y equal to 0. Okay, so in our function, y is equal to x squared. In order to find our intercepts, we need to make y equal to 0, and then we need to solve for x. We make y equal to 0, and then we solve for x. Same with our y-intercept. If we want to find our y-intercept, we're going to make x equal to 0, and then we're going to solve for y. Okay, and these are the things I need you guys to write down for me. Okay, I need you to write down everything that ma'am is saying right now. It's very important. It's going to come up in just a little bit. Okay, we're going to talk about it. Okay, and I knew that would happen. All right, bring that back. So what this means, okay, Zibusiso, I'm going to help you in just a little bit, my sweetie. Just hold on for me. What this means is if my graph sits, let's say maybe it sits down there. It's a smiley face parabola, and it sits down there. My x-intercepts are going to be this point here and this point there. These are the points where my y coordinates are going to be 0. So I'm going to have 0 over here and 0 over there. That is my x-intercepts. My y-intercept, and the reason why I'm saying there's only one of them is because my graph is only going to cut my y-axis once at this point over here. And at this point, my x coordinate will be 0, and my y value is the thing that, that we need to find. Okay, so those are the two things that we need to remember about the x-intercept, the y-intercept, and the turning point. Give me a thumbs up in the chat if everything that I've just shown you now makes sense. Are we understanding what a turning point is, what an x-intercept is, and what a y-intercept is? I'm going to take questions while you guys, and if you put a thumbs down, I then need you to put your hand up and ask me a question as to where I lost you. Hi, Mateo.
Hi, ma'am.
Hi, my sweetie, what's up?
Ma'am, I just wanted to say that, I just wanted to say the turning point is when as x coordinates increase, y coordinates decrease, or as y coordinates increase, x coordinates increase.
Beautiful, beautiful. And that will then be when we're looking at the proportion. Okay, my sweetie. So we need to remember over here, my x coordinates, we're going in that direction. So my x coordinates are going to be getting bigger, but my y coordinates are actually going down. So they will decrease. That's exactly what you're talking about. Yes?
Yes,
On this side as well. If it's flipped, if our graph is a frowny face graph, then when my x values get smaller, my y values will start to increase. And that's it. But Mateo, remember, our turning point is always this point here, where we're going to get to a point where our x values, even though they're increasing, my y values won't decrease anymore. They will start to increase again. Okay. And that's the point that we're looking for, that we're going to be looking for in terms of the turning point. Kama, what's up, my sweetie?
Sorry, ma'am. I was just going to ask, like before, like the previous parabola graph thingamabob was erased. Like I noticed that the one above and the one below intercepted at the 0.
Yes.
Yeah, intercepted at the 0 coordinate. So I was just going to ask, by like any chance, would you say it's connected to the tan graph? Because like I saw domain and range, and Like that's
Okay.
just where my mind wandered.
Oh, all right. So all graphs, every single one of them have a domain and range. Okay, whether it's a sine or a cos or a tan graph, they all have domain and range. Okay, but depending on what graph we're looking at and the kind of function it gives us, then we have to define the the domain and the range differently. When we are using, when we're looking at the domain of a tan graph or a sine graph or a cos graph, we use theta, we use angles, so we use 60 degrees or 90 degrees or 360 degrees. But when we're looking at a graph like the one we're drawing now, we use X and Y values. Okay, that's going to be the difference. We're just going to use numbers. Okay, I'll explain that. Like 2 weeks from now, we're going to be looking at a sine, cos, and tan graph. Okay, so hold on for a minute. All right.
Yes, ma'am.
Lovely question. I love it. That means Kama's already done the work. Kimotoko, how are we doing, my sweetie?
Hi, ma'am. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you, ma'am. Ma'am, can I please ask, are those arrows, you see the arrows there, those two arrows of your parabolic function. So, ma'am, is it a must for us to put them
No,
because they say if we don't put them, we're gonna lose most marks.
Not at all. Not at all. Okay. I'm sorry, I can remove them because I was just explaining what Motero was saying. It's not, they don't actually need to be there, my sweetie. Okay.
So
this graph looks now is what we need. Okay.
Also, ma'am, and the turning point, what rule? It's always going to be a plus b over 2, right?
Negative b over 2a. Okay, and we'll talk about that. That's actually a grade 11 concept. We don't learn it here. I'm going to show you an easier way to find it out in grade 10. Okay, but you and I can have a conversation a little bit later on about that particular rule that you're talking about. Okay?
Oh, okay, ma'am. Thank you.
Excellent. No worries, my sweetie. Okay, cool stuff. I'm going to take Princess's question. Khalalera, I'm going to ask you to hold on for me. I just need to get through domain and range, and then we'll have a conversation. Hi, Princess.
Hello, ma'am.
Hi, my sweetie.
Ma'am, I got lost. Ma'am, you lost me at the graphs thingy, when drawing the arrow. How,
the orange arrows, these orange arrows, these ones.
Yeah, no, the black line, when
this
drawing
one.
when
okay,
drawing the
but
parabola line.
Remember, Princess, it's not like when I draw a graph, my graph doesn't stop here. It keeps going. Okay, so that's why we draw these arrows here, because the graph doesn't stop here. It keeps going forever and ever, all the way to infinity. Okay.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, excellent, my sweetie. That's why we draw the arrows, because the graph doesn't stop. It keeps going. Okay, I think Teacher Nels Mpo can't hear me. And that's the issue that we're having here. So even I can't ask Mpo to unmute. So if you could just help her out with audio for me, if you could. All right, let's talk about the domain and range quickly, guys. All right, so the domain is going to tell us, guys, what our X values are doing. X is doing something. Okay, now, if I tell you guys that we need to use this graph of y is equal to x squared, right? Is there a number for x that I can't put in here? Can anybody think of a number that I can't use for x? Can I not use 0? Or can I not use -1? Is there any number for x that I can't use? If I write 0, I'm going to get an answer. Y is equal to 0 squared, which is equal to 0. I'm going to get an answer for 0. As soon as there's 3, if I put 3 in for x, I'm going to get y is equal to 3 squared, which is equal to 9. I'm going to get an answer. The square root of -7. Mateo, remember, we are working in the real plane, in the real number plane, so you can't give us the square root of a negative number. This is a real plane graph. A side. Why do I have a feeling, Kama, that was supposed to say a side eye and it didn't work? -0 is not a number. Malone, -1 all squared is equal to 1. Even if I put a surd in, Kama, if I do this, the square root of 3 all squared, that is still going to give me 3. If I put in the number -666 all squared, that's still going to give me an answer. That's it. And CPA's getting the idea, guys. If I put in a fraction, a half all squared, that's still the same as 1/4. It still gives me an answer. Infinity all squared is the same as infinity. It gives me an answer. Okay, Nicole, X is not a number. We can't accept X. Y is not a number. Okay, 1/0, 1/0 does not count because it's undefined. Okay, the root of -1, we're working with real numbers, guys, so you can't give me imaginary numbers like Priscilletta's trying. Somebody says -2 all squared, that's still going to give me +4. Okay, -1 is -1 squared, which is 1. All right, the point I'm getting at, guys, is all the numbers that we put in here. Yes, so remember, we're working in the real plane, Mawande. All the numbers that we put in here are going to give us an answer for X. So what we can say for our domain of X is that X is an element of all real numbers. All real numbers. That's it. DD is getting the idea. There is no number that's not going to give you an answer. All the numbers are going to give you an answer. So we can write then that X is an element of all real numbers. Okay. Now, if we have to talk about the range, okay. But Mama said nothing. You can't say integers, Linda Guche, because 1,5 is not an integer, but it still counts. Okay, 1,5 is not an integer, but we can still find an answer if we put 1,5 in. Okay, good. Kimotluku and Mawande is way ahead of me. The range is our Y values, right? So Y is an element. We're also going to say that Y is an element of real numbers. But we're going to have an issue, guys. We're going to have an issue that if I get to this point over here, let's say, for instance, my turning point is at -4. Can my Y value be -5? Can I get -5 as an answer for my Y value? Do I have graph? Is there any part of my graph that touches -5? No. No, there's not. Okay, Princess is like, no, question mark. You're correct, Princess. No, there's no part of it that touches. Okay, so my range is going to be different in that my range can only be numbers that start at my turning point, -4 upwards. Okay, so we're going to say that our range is that Y is an element of real numbers, except Y needs to be greater than or equal to -4. Okay, because if it's less than -4, we're going to have an issue. We're not going to get an answer for our graph. Anotida, what's up?
Oh, ma'am, it's fine. I just wanted to say something that's not that, something that you don't get an answer for inside the graph. I think my English is messed up.
Okay. All right, no, that's no worries. Anotida, you must still put your hand up though. I want to hear your voices a little bit more. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, awesome. All right, Princess, what's up, my sweetie?
Ma'am, you said that you can only use numbers that is like greater than -4. So
Yes,
if in the if like in exams they ask us and we say like say -3 or -2, will it still be marked right or will it be marked wrong?
Well, you can't say that because what we're doing here, when we say real numbers, we're actually counting all the numbers, Princess, all of them. Okay, it's just all of the numbers except the ones underneath -4. So we're not actually pinpointing one number. We're talking about all the numbers. Okay, so you can't put -3 there. You need to say all the numbers except the ones underneath -4. Okay, that's why we add this part. That's why we add the element of real numbers. Okay.
Thank you, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Excellent. Nice question. Excellent question. Shaden, what's up?
Ma'am, Princess literally covered my question, but what I wanted to say is the number can be greater or less than negative, in this case, -4, because the parabola doesn't it doesn't touch. I don't know if touch is the right word to use, but like it doesn't cover the number. I don't know if
yeah,
I'm saying, I don't know if you get me, ma'am.
I'm trying to, I think I'm getting what you're saying. So you're saying it cannot be, it has to be greater than or equal to 4 or to -4, but it can't be
-4.
less. It can't be less than -4.
Okay. Okay.
Because less than -4 will imply beneath the graph, and that won't work. Okay.
Yeah.
We're only counting those parts. All right. Excellent. Thanks, Shaden. Olarato, what's up, my sweetie?
Hi ma'am, how are you?
I'm good, thank you, my sweetie. How are you?
I think I'm okay.
Okay.
Okay, I don't really understand what's going on. I don't know if it's because I'm new or
Okay, my sweetie. Have you done functions at school yet?
probably. I think so.
Have you not drawn graphs? Not at all.
Okay, we've done this other graph. I think we did it on Friday. I forgot what it was called, but it looked a
Okay.
bit similar to this, but
All
I'm
right,
not
okay.
sure if we're doing the same
So
thing.
this is what I'm going to ask you to do for me, Olarato. I'm just going to ask you to mute for me, my sweetie, and then I'm going to ask you to quickly run and get your school books for me. Okay, and have a look at what is happening on the screen and see if it kind of matches what you're doing at school. And then we'll pick it up from there. And then at the end of the lesson, just put your hand up for me again and we'll have a conversation. Okay, try and match the two things between what's happening at school and what's happening right now. Okay. All right, excellent. Okay, somebody says, Didi says, ma'am, I don't understand the domain and range. Okay, so the domain is all our x values. Explain to me, what are my x values? Which x values can I use? That's what the domain is asking. What value can I put for x? What value can I put in here for x? And we said for x, we can put in any number. Now, I don't want to just say any number because I can already feel them coming for me. Thank you, Puseleto. Any real number. Okay, any real number. That is why we then say that x is an element of real numbers. Okay, but the range says to us, what y values can we put in? What y values can we put in? And we can still put in all real numbers, except if my real numbers are less than 4, are less than -4, I'm going to have an issue because I don't have graph over here. If my real number for y is -5, I don't have a part of the graph over here. Okay. Oh, this R, Didi, this R stands for real number. It just means real numbers. Okay, it's the symbol for real numbers. Okay, it's the symbol for real numbers. And this E over here just means is an element of. Is an element of real numbers. That means that your y value is a number that comes from real numbers. Okay, that's all it means. All right, I want us to put this into practice a little bit before I take more questions. Okay, I want to show you guys how easy this is, especially in grade 10. Okay, so we're going to look at this example over here. It says here, we've been given the graph of f of x is equal to 2x squared minus 2. Now, I'm going to tell you guys, write this down. This value over here, this -2, this is your y value of the turning point. This is the y value of your turning point. And in grade 10, your x value is automatically 0. It's 0. So we just need to write for the turning point, we write in here 0 and -4, -2, look me saying -4. Okay, 0 and -2. Yes, ma'am, that I was trying to say. Is there no graph at any number bigger or less? Of course there is, Shaden. There are different graphs. There are different graphs. There are different graphs. Yes, but sometimes the questions, Didi, won't ask you for the table. Sorry, I had to steal the charger for a little bit. All right, so this is the value that we're going to get for our turning point. The turning point, if we had to draw this, if I had to draw this, all right, if I had to draw this, what this is telling me is that my graph is going to stop here at 0 and -2. And it's because it's a positive graph, it's a smiley face parabola, it's going to do that. Right. So I'm going to say it again, Hatchet. This number here at the end is the y value of my turning point. Remember, my turning point is a coordinate. So my x value is 0 and my y value is -2. Right. So that means my graph turns at 0 and -2 at that point over there. Okay. Now it says find the x-intercepts. Who remembers, guys? I said when we're looking for the x-intercept, what do we need to do? For the x-intercept, y needs to equal what? Ah, thank you. Good. Y is equal to 0. So here's what we're going to do, guys. Remember, f of x is the same as y. So we're going to replace f of x with 0 because that's what y is. Okay, so our equation is then going to read 0 is equal to 2x squared minus 2. And then we're going to solve for x. Okay, we're going to solve for x. All right, but we know how to do this algebraically, guys. We can do this algebraically. I'm going to take out over here, I'm going to take 2 out as a common factor. So I'm going to end up with 0 is equal to 2. Take out 2 as a common factor. I'm going to get x squared minus 1. And then I'm going to note that this thing inside the bracket over here is dots. I'm going to factorize it and it's going to be dots. So I'm then going to go about 2, open 2 brackets, x plus 1 and x minus 1. And then because we are solving for x, I'm then going to say x plus 1 is equal to 0 or x minus 1 is equal to 0. Therefore, oh, dots means difference of 2 squares. Sorry, Nkechi, difference of 2 squares. Difference of 2 squares. Okay, which we should be familiar with. Yes, Mateo. Yes.
Like when we have a coefficient in front of the x, we at school, our teacher said we must divide it by 2.
Yes. Okay. The reason why I've even disregarded it, Mateo, is because if I divide by 2 on this side and I divide by 2 on that side, I'm going to get 2 divided by 2. That's going to go away. What's 0 divided by 2?
Oh.
It's 0.
I don't know. I don't know if she just drops the 2 away.
The 2 just drops away because if I divide both sides by 2, 0 divided by 2 is just going to give me 0 again. So it's almost like it's not even there. You get what I mean? Yeah?
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yes,
okay.
ma'am.
All right. Excellent. Okay. Shaden, what's up, my sweetie?
Ma'am, I just wanted to ask, when we are looking for the value of x, I think, or we have to solve for x, do we always have to like do those dots and factorize and stuff like that?
Well, you could do the other way. You could take -2 over to the other side and become +2, divide both sides by 2. So you could go 0 is equal to 2 squared minus 2, take the -2 over and you'd get 2 is equal to 2x squared, right? And then divide by 2, divide by 2. This will give us 1 is equal to x squared, and then take the square root. Okay.
Okay.
Then that will be x is equal to plus or minus 1.
Do I have to answer, ma'am, or is it going to be plus or minus 1?
Yes, it must be plus or minus 1 because both of those answers give us +1. 1 squared is 1 and -1 squared is 1. So we need to have both answers.
So
see, that's why I do dots so that I don't forget the other one, because most people just say x is equal to 1. It's not. It's plus or minus 1. Okay.
Okay. Yeah, makes
Alright.
sense.
Okay, excellent, my sweetie. Good. Somebody said I'm going way too fast. Can I ask that person to please put their hand up so that I can just have a bit of a conversation with you, so I can see where I miss I lost you. Didi, what's up?
Ma'am, like the way we do it in school is that we look for the value of x, then the value of y, or like sometimes we swap it around. So ma'am, the way you did it, it confused me by the part where you said 2 and then out of the brackets, then you said in the brackets x squared minus 1. Like that confused me like
Okay,
crazy.
so what I did here, Didi, is I took out an HCF. What is my highest common factor there?
Oh, okay, I understand now.
2, right?
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Oh, okay, ma'am. So then, like on the other side by the 0, you'd also have to divide it by 2. But
Yes.
then, because 0 over 2 is just gonna give me 0.
I can just cancel the 2's.
Oh, okay. I
See what I
understand.
did?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, excellent. Excellent. All right. Mawande, when you say how, you need to explain a little bit more to me. Okay, what do you mean by how? Okay, all right, so these two values, hold on. Hi, Hatchet. Hatchet, keep your hand up for me. I can tell that you have a question. Okay, so but keep your hand up for me. Oh, you're asking Kim. Okay, that's fine. All right, so these two values tell me that over here on my x-axis, this point over here is -1 and 0, and this point over here is 1 and 0. Those are the two values that I'm getting. Okay. Now, somebody was saying I'm going too fast. I need to slow down. That's okay. We're going to come to this question again. Okay, we're going to come to a question like this again. Okay, hi, Hatchet. Can you unmute for me?
Hi, ma'am.
Hello, my sweetie. What's up?
Ma'am, you lost me where we said y is equal to 0, like that part.
Okay, so remember in grade 9, when we did straight line graphs, they taught us the intercept method. They said if we want to find the x-intercept, we need to make y equal to 0. And when we want to find the y-intercept, we make x equals 0. Yes?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so because in this question for number 2, we're looking for the x-intercept, I made y equal to 0. Okay, so remember, f of x is the same as y. So I've taken this whole f of x thing and I've made it equal to 0. So now my new equation reads 0 is equal to 2x squared minus 2, and then we solve for x. Are you getting me?
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, so do we only solve for x and 0 is just left like that?
Yes. If they ask you for the x-intercept, then yes, you need to make y equals 0.
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
Excellent, my sweetie. Awesome. Okay. F of y. No, there's no f of y. We will always get f of x in school. Okay. In high school, we get f of x. All right. Then what happens, guys, if I want to find my y-intercept, what do I need to do? My y-intercept? Yes, Sabiha. No, don't put your hand down, come back. Good, we'll make x equal to 0. Remember, this is y. So our formula for that will read, good, x is equal to 0. Hold on, I'm going to change this quickly. So we know that y-intercept, our graph reads y is equal to 2x squared minus 2. We're going to make x equal to 0. So we will get y is equal to 2, open brackets, 0 squared minus 2. Therefore, y is equal to, this whole thing over here is just going to give us 0. And therefore, y is equal to -2. So my coordinate is going to be 0 for x and -2 for y. Okay, I'm going to write it a little bit better in the next question so that we don't have these kinds of issues, because I feel like I'm writing all over the place, but we'll do it a little bit better just now. Okay, so that's the answer that we get for our y-intercept. Who remembers what would the domain of my graph be? Domain is x. The domain tells us what we can do with our x numbers. So x is, yes, Chifaro, that's correct. Well done, Mateo. Yes, f of x is y. Correct, good. X is an element of real numbers. Good. What about y? What about y? What would we say about y, guys? Y is an element of real numbers, but where does it need to be? Shaden?
Sorry, ma'am, today I'm asking a lot of questions today, but I just wanted to ask, when you say f of x and x, you basically asking for the same thing, right?
No. F of x is y and x is x. Okay.
Oh.
F of x is y.
Okay. Sorry, I was just got a little confused there, just a little.
Okay, no, it's okay, Masiki, it's fine. F of x is y. All right, good. So y is an element of real numbers, and y needs to be greater than or equal to -2. Okay, not -4 anymore, guys. Remember, our graph turns, our turning point is at -2. So Esona, that sign that you've got, that's less than, it needs to turn the other way around. Less than or greater than or equal to -2. Nkechi, what's up?
Hi, ma'am. I just wanted to ask if you could explain the whole domain and range situation again. I didn't quite get it.
So, all right. So if we're going to define the domain is what value can my x numbers be? Now, x can be any real number, which is why we write x as an element of real numbers. Okay. And if they ask us for y, we then say y is also an element of real numbers, but it can't be a number less than -2. It needs to be any number higher than -2 because of our turning point. So y needs to be greater than or equal to -2. So domain is x and range is y. Okay. I hope that makes sense, Nkechi.
Yes, it does, ma'am. Thank you.
Excellent, my sweetie. Awesome. All right, let's look at this next example over here. Here's your turn, guys. All right. Yes, Yolani, we can't write it in words. We must use mathematical language. Okay. All right, here's the next one. It says here, we're given the graph of f of x is equal to -3x squared plus 12. Determine the turning point. Anybody, any volunteers? What is my turning point going to be? Oh, Kimokoko, that's it. Onako, excellent. Excellent. That's exactly it. That is 100% it. We said that this number over here, this value over here for Q, that's going to be our y coordinate, And then the other value needs to be our x-axis at 0. So our turning point will be at 0 and +12. That's our turning point. I'm going to ask you guys again. When I want to find my x-intercept, what do I need to do? At my x-intercept, what needs to happen? Y equals, that's it, Maya. Well done, Mawande. Good stuff, Kimotoko Ayanda, 100%. Well done, Halalelo. Y needs to equal to 0. So we're going to go to this f of x part over here, and we're going to replace it with 0. So our formula will read, or our function will read, 0 is equal to -3x squared plus 12. Right. Now, I want you guys to use that to solve for x. Solve for x, guys. Okay. What is the first thing that we would do? Okay. Onako's already finished. Onako's done. Onako, wait for everybody else to catch up. Okay, so first thing I would do, guys, is I would take out a highest common factor. I would take out an HCF. My HCF in this case would be -3. So I'm going to take -3 out. So I'm going to get 0 is equal to -3, and if I open brackets, I'm going to have x squared minus 4 left. Okay, but I can tell you guys it's not going to be plus 4. It's not 4, right? So, I love that, Ursula. Well done. Okay, good. So now I know that if I divide both sides by -3, the -3 will fall away because 0 divided by -3 is just 0. So I will then have 0 is equal to, this is a difference of 2 squares. This is a difference of 2 squares. So I'm going to open 2 brackets and I put x plus 2 and x minus 2 in here. All right. Kamu says, why is it 4 and not 3 and not 6? Kamu, what is 12 divided by 3? It's not 6, I'll tell you that. What's 12 divided by 3? Okay, that's okay, Kimokoko. All right, good, it's 4, and that's why I have a 4 here and not a 6, my sweetie. All right, then I have to solve for this. Then I can go x plus 2 is equal to 0, or x minus 2 is equal to 0. Therefore, x is equal to -2, or x is equal to 2. Good, we're done with that. That's our x-intercepts. We've got -2 and 0, and I've got 2 and 0. That's it, Gemotoko. Excellent, 2 and 0. That's my x-intercepts. What about my y-intercept? When I want to find my y-intercept, guys, what do I need to do? Good, Amogelang, remember you need to get positive or -2. It can't just be the one, it needs to be both. Good, we're going to make x equal to 0. So for question 4, question 3 even, this was question 2. Question 2. Now for question 3, for my y-intercept, I'm going to make x equals 0. Right, so y is equal to -3 times 0 squared plus 12. Therefore, y is equal to 12. So you guys will note that my y-intercept is actually my turning point. Okay, my y-intercept is my turning point. I see. Okay, Shaden's caught on. Good. So, Kimotoko, remember, x values always come first. So 0 and then 12. Okay, x values and then y values. All right, let's remind each other. Everybody in the chat, tell me, what is the domain of f? What is the domain of f, guys? What is the domain again? Good, it's my x value. X is what? That's it, Sipe Chifaro, excellent. Daniela, finish it off for me. That's it, Linda Gutle. Unalinna, don't just say x, tell me x is an element of, that's it. X is an element of real numbers. Good, excellent. Now, I want to show you guys something before we start like jumping up and down. All right, my graph f of x, guys, is actually negative, right? So this is f of x is equal to -3x squared plus 12. If I had to plot this on a Cartesian plane, guys, is this a smiley face or a frowny face parabola? Is it smiling? Is it happy or sad? Is it a happy or a sad face parabola? Good, it's frowning, right? And the turning point is at 0 and 12. It's over there at 0 and 12. And it's frowning, it's coming down like this. Right? This point over here, we said this is -2 and 0. We said this point over here is 2 and 0. Right. Now, we said that our domain, x is an element of real numbers. Now, guys, tell me about my range. What would my range be? Good. My range is my y value, and we're going to say that y is an element of real numbers, but y needs to be what? Oh, Mateo's figured it out. That's it. Good. If you say greater than 12, if you say that y needs to be greater than 12, you're telling me that my graph is up there. So can my graph actually be greater than 12? Is it bigger than? Tariro, is it bigger than? No, it's not. It's not. In this, in this case, it can't be greater than. It's going to need to be less than 12, less than or equal to 12. So y must be less than or equal to 12. That's it, Galabora, 100%. Y must be less than or equal to 12. That's it, Didi. Wow, we actually did speak about this. If this thing here in the front is negative, then it's sad. And if it's positive, then it's a happy face parabola. Okay, the gradient, or in this case, the shape of the graph, yes. All right. Okay, I think that's where we're going to stop for today. Guys, if we've learned anything about today, we've taken away these things. All right, we've learned about the turning point, the x-intercepts, the y-intercepts, the domain, and the range. Now, I want a volunteer. Anybody want to give us like a recap of everything that we've learned about today? If I give you the function, f of x is equal to 2x minus 5. Anybody want to help us? CP, yes, let's go. What is my turning point? What is my turning point?
-5.
Turning point is 2 coordinates. So the negative
Oh,
5 will
sorry.
go.
It's 0, x value, and then -5.
Excellent, good. It's 0 and -5, good. Now, if I wanted to find my x-intercepts, what would I have to do, CP?
X-intercept y equals 0.
Excellent, good. And if I want to find my y-intercept?
So 0 equals 2. 2x minus 5.
Beautiful. 2x squared minus 5. I'm not going to ask us to do it because I see where you're going. Okay, excellent. What about my domain? What do we know about my domain?
Domain x element of R.
Good. X is an element of real numbers. And my range? No worries, Jonathan. Have a good night.
Range is y element of R.
Good.
And y greater than or equal to the turning point, which is -5.
Beautiful. Excellent. Why is it greater than or equal to? Why not less than?
Because like the parabola doesn't go down.
It goes up.
Up, yes.
Excellent. Beautiful stuff. Beautiful, beautiful. Wow. Sipe, you're a whole rock star. Excellent stuff.
Thank you.
Awesome. Basista's asking, ma'am, is it always x is an element of real numbers? Yes, 100%. Okay. Because it's positive, we're going to get greater than or equal to. If it's a negative, if it's a sad face, guys, we're always going to get less than or equal to. All right. That's it from us for this evening, guys. Not tomorrow. On Wednesday, we're going to get started on the hyperbola, and we're going to learn new words like quadrants and asymptotes and nice, interesting stuff. I'm going to have a quick conversation with Mpo. Mpo, can I ask you to put your hand up for me so you and I can have a conversation? What's up?
Okay, ma'am. You said we're going to talk about the about the turning point rule, ma'am.
Yes. Okay. Excellent. All right. So here's the thing. If we have a graph, graphs normally come in this form. They normally come in the form of y. Look, now I'm writing in highlighter. Y is equal to ax squared plus bx plus c. This is the original graph of a turning, like of a parabola. Okay, this is what you learn in grade 11. Now, if we want to find the turning point, what we will do is that we will find the x value using these numbers. So we will say that the x value is equal to -b over 2a. Now, what that means is if my graph reads y is equal to 2x squared plus 6x minus 8. If I want to find the x coordinate of my turning point, I'm going to go x is equal to minus, my b value is now 6. Do you see that my b value is 6?
Yes, ma'am.
So I'm going to write here minus 6 over 2 times, what is my A value now? What is my A value?
It's 2, ma'am.
Good, it's 2. So we will then go -6 over 2 times 2. So my turning point will be at the value -6 over 4, which is the same as -3 over 2. That's my x coordinate for my turning point.
Turning point.
Good.
Do you think
Then I can take this value and put it back into this formula to find my y value. Okay. But we only learn that in grade 11 once we are used to the graph. Okay.
Okay, ma'am. My teacher told me, like, I'm writing this on Wednesday. I'm writing my term 2 exam on Wednesday.
Oh, so, my goodness.
So, ma'am, he told us that, like, our turning point, to find the turning point of the parabolic graph, going to be a plus b over 2.
The whole thing plus b. Okay, I understand where he's coming from. Okay, the reason for that is if you look at all the graphs we've done so far, if you look at them all, we always have values like -1 and 1, right? So if we want to find the turning point, basically what he's telling you to do is find the halfway point between these two. Okay, yes. So if we want to find the halfway point, we're just going to take this length plus this length and then divide it by 2. So that's what your teacher is actually doing. Okay.
And our gradient rule is like y is equals to mx plus c, where m is what? And then
y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. That's the straight line. That's the straight line one. Okay. All right.
Thank
you.